All right, so let's have a quick little stream today. I don't have a lot of time. I've got a lot of family stuff going on and going to see one of my buddies about 3 hours from here, so there's a little bit of a drive involved with my day today. What I wanted to show you guys is how we deploy the website here. I know we've talked about it and I've probably showed it to various people in the labs, but in case anybody wants to see it, how's it going? Never fear, the Boris is here. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Thank you for the subscription. We are, yeah, hi Scoot. We are just hanging out, and what I wanted to show you guys was kind of like, I don't know, like we're not web guys here. Like we have some people that excel at art and graphics and web, and we lean on them heavily. But one of our guys, Treasure, which is his online name, pseudonym, he kind of builds this web page for us, and it's a great little web page. It is a Go container, so we'll look at that and kind of how it builds. But this is our webpage, right? Super simple. You can look at it in dark mode. He did all kinds of cool little stuff with it where you could just kind of play with it. But all of this is happening with his skills in Go, and then he went and built himself a little database that gets built into there of who's ever completed the course. So anybody that does any of our courses, right? There's Treasure. It'll tell you who they are and where they went and the fact that they finished the course or whatever. Well, because of the way that we've decided, yeah, he is a Treasure, yeah. It's like I want to reach out to everybody that wants to do this with us, but certain people just I think what we do resonates with, and he's one of the guys who's, you know, yeah, he's been very valuable as a pickup for the team, if you will. So what I wanted to show you guys is how we run the ProLUG.org, because some of you might wonder, like, oh, you know, these are sysadmin guys. These guys aren't like, I wouldn't call myself like terribly talented in any type of web application or web type stuff. So, you know, I lean on the people that are good at that stuff, and Treasure ends up being pretty good at this. So let's look at kind of how we host this. Like, we've got the internet, and Cox blocks my internet in my home lab. And because we choose to run this from the home lab, the ProLUG we can't get, like in my home lab, you can't just come to port 80 and hit our external page, even if I were to point another web page to that. So because of that, and because that's the architecture, we use AWS CloudFront in front of this. So when you go to our web page here, you're actually hitting an AWS CloudFront on port 80. Now, that's a cache, right? So anybody here that knows what a cache is a place that just holds on to things that are kind of warm, and then as they cool off, it forgets about them. And we did have caching issues with this, and I think a few of the guys put in a couple of the recommended kind of fixes that I had, where we had like a 24-hour cache. We could set it all the way up to a year, but I think they just check the web page every few minutes now, and then we don't have it anymore. Oh, where are my teeth? Said, good morning. How was my first week of class? It was good. I actually haven't been in a classroom probably this entire year, because, you know, most of my modalities are online teaching. I like that it got that word right. Sometimes I say things and I'm like, is the CC gonna like make me look like I'm dumber than normal? Which is fine. Funny story about me and my wife. I'll tell you guys later. But anyways, so, or maybe I'll tell it down in the Discord later. But internet comes in and hits AWS CloudFront. That's caching off of our page. So I can actually go to ProLUG and hit our, like prolug.asuscom.com on port 8080, and I should also get to our web page. But that's kind of like for internal testing. That's kind of like bypassing the cache, if you will. And then that's also going directly to the page, but that's not the type of thing you would share out. Like, could you imagine if that's like what I had on like a card or told people to go connect to? So we don't do that. And then inside, so you guys have seen the web page, so I'm going to move this over here. Move that over here for a minute. And let's pull up the internal architecture of this. So let's just grep K8 from Etsy hosts. In my home lab, I have these prod Kubernetes systems. They exist on 215, 216, and 217 of the normal network. They have everything forwarded to them. They've got an external service on them, so we'll go look at them here in a second, at port 31,000. That's just in the normal exposure range of what we call what's the external facing Kubernetes services? Not cluster services, not load balancer. The other one, I'm drawing a blank on it. Right as I went to say it, I couldn't find it. So anyways, that's the normal exposure. And then we have different deployments of this that we can deploy, and we can roll between them. Like I can roll back to older versions of our web page if we want to. But today we're going to deploy a new one because I talked to Treasure and we have a new version of it up. So we're going to actually just go and roll over to a new version of it. So here's our backend K8 cluster, right? Kubernetes. We will go. Actually, I go over there. K8s-1. If I could type, we'll go over there as root and we'll sudo up to or su up to Scott. So we'll become the Scott user. And the Scott user really has everything in here. Whoops. LS. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen SL, but typically if you ever type SL, it just sends a locomotive across the screen. It's kind of a funny little troll that admins do to each other. But down here, we use a blue-green deployment, and typically this is what our deployment looks like. So if I wanted to follow these steps for what I'm doing, I actually have the history here, so I could look at the history. But if I go to PLS real quick, this is the old static build. This is everything that comes down from Treasure, right, as he builds out our web page for us. So here's what we do typically. Go up one, and we copy that whole thing off. So I move right here, PLS to archive old, PLS dot, and then whatever version I want. So I tend to like to do like a date plus %F, and I can do that. So then if I go into archive, I can see older versions of this. And the one from today is obviously this one right here, right? 906. Well, 906 as far as the date goes. Okay. So we've moved the old deployment off, and now we're going to git clone down the most current one. So we'll do a history, grep for maybe git. That's fine. And here is our git clone for that. So I can just bang 981, and that will clone that down, and then I cd down into PLS, and I see all of the new version of this. Now this is again the part that's a little more black box to me because I'm no expert in what's going on with Go, but I can tell you on this system we have Go, right? We have the ability to build Go and run Go and all that stuff, but we're just going to do podman build -t, podman build -t pls dot, oops, from here, and that's going to go and build that new website for us, right? So now we've got a container, or we're going to have a container that will run that website. And when we're ready, we're going to push that up to be in our local repository, right? And we're going to tag it. We're going to tag it to be PLS, and then we're going to push it up to our local repository, overwriting the old PLS, right? Now, the blue-green part of this I don't really care nearly as much about. I wrote this to show the guys how a blue-green deployment might go. Guys, we're not really, like, in the home lab here, we don't really care that much. Like, I'm not worried about, like, 100% availability of the website like I would be if I was doing this for a company. But just to have it. Okay, so there we go. It's successfully tagged as PLS latest. We're going to do our podman so we can history. And here's our last pushes. So we can bang 953. Right, exclamation mark is bang. And then we can exclamation mark 954, which will push that up, right? And it's going to push up the new version of the container into our local repository on this machine, right? Then we're going to go look, we're going to go up a directory, and we're going to look at this ProLUG website. It should be .yaml, yeah, .v2.yaml, right? And what does this thing do, right? It's going to go pull that most recent version of the image, PLS, from localhost 5000. We run a local little repository here. And it's going to make a version of ProLUG website version 2, 2 replicas, and We are going to not allow people to do privilege escalation. And I thought we also had this as immutable, so even if you got into the box and did something, you couldn't change anything. But you definitely can't become root out of the container. And then the exposed container port is 9090 on the internal. Is that right? Yeah. We deploy it from 9090. And then the service looks at it on 31,000. My router sits in here and exposes 31,000 out as port 8080, and that's how you can hit that from the outside if you don't want to just use the normal CloudFront with the normal ProLUG.org, right? Oh, and actually I got asked to add some, so I might have to add some domains to that, but that's not hard to do. That's unrelated to this. But let's hit escape:/WQ. And if I just do a history here, you'll see that what I did the last time was I also just deleted the current deployment. So we turn off the website that's there, right? So we delete that, and then we create the one that we have now set up with the new stuff. So now the website's deployed, the new version of it's deployed. For some real quick kind of like rapid internal testing, I would come here and I would go to the ProLUG dot ProLUG. The heck is that? Oh, what is that external one? It's right here. I don't know why my brain's freezing up on this stuff. Yeah, prolug.asuscom.com. Yeah, port 8080. So now we should see a new version of the course, and I should be able to come over here to the verifies and see if they're still working. Looks like these things are working. And you might say, well, Scott, you're bypassing your cache. Yeah, I want to bypass the cache. I want to go directly to the system. That's C-A-C-H-E for cache there. Not C-A-S-H. And I want to make sure that the things that we expect to be built on the page are there. Are the new things there? I need to see cohorts. Fall intake course books are here. Let me see. I know that he put in, so there's the admin, there's a security engineer. The new course has not started. The courses are starting, you got to check in the Discord, but they are starting on the 20th of September for people that want to do the security engineering and the admin course. This doesn't look like this has been updated. I'm a little... Oh, there's the automation course coming up. Okay, yeah. I mean, this one, yeah, this is the newer version then, I think. So there we go. So now we come over here. We step one back further, and we look at the cache, and it looks like the cache is also updated as well. So now the cache is updated and all that stuff. So yeah, Nick Hill over on YouTube, real quick, just so you guys know. You can come into the Discord here, and you can go up to the top. It'll be on the top left if you're in an app like this. On your phone, it'll be the top right. And here's all the events coming up. We do have events going today, and then events all weekend. But the courses start on the 20th of September. So there's a security engineering course. This is going to be advanced. This is the second time running it, but this is not an easy course. We are not like hand holding here. You have to kind of know the basics of Linux, but this is for anybody. Anybody can do it. There's no background needed, except we don't have time to like kind of hand hold around Linux. So just for anybody that's coming in and saying, can I do this course? Absolutely you can. But I hope you know how to CD, PWD, and LS by that point, right? As long as you can do those things, you're probably going to get through that course. And then the automation course is going to be another one that's a little more advanced. And it's, guys, you got to understand, it's kind of funny. Like, I do stuff too simple, and people complain. They're like, "Oh, this guy just only does simple stuff." Well, that's all my career is doing simple stuff. And then I make it super difficult, not difficult, but like more complex. And people are like, "Oh man, I wish this guy would just do simple stuff." So, guys, we have to find a balance, and the balance is here. You know, we're not doing an admin course again until early next year, but we are doing our 2 more advanced courses. So they're here. They're in the Discord. You guys can find them. Hopefully. So we just tested this all the way through. I thought there was something. I'm wondering. I might have to measure, or I might have to message Treasure. I just said 2 words together. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, it looks like the things are here, but I don't see, that's the admin one. I thought he might have added more. That's fine. That's fine. It looks good. This does say it's for automation. Or this is for the automation part down here. Yeah, it's fine. Looks good. Yeah, CD, PWD, LS, right? Okay, so we've got that deployed. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys this because I know sometimes people are like, well, what's the back end architecture? Like how would you lay this out if oh, here, let me move this over a little bit so you guys have. Actually, let me just leave that whole side of the screen dark so you guys can see. I need to take this right here where you guys can see the words. I need to put like a light black background so you guys can just always see your words. And I can also I need to feed that in so we also get the YouTube comments in there too. But anyways, where I'm going with this is I want it, like, sometimes people just want to see like how, like how a sysadmin would deploy a web page, with his knowledge of servers and Kubernetes and deployments, and then, what I do. This is not maybe the way that somebody would do it. And also, by the way, we can turn this, we've talked about this. I could take all of this and turn this into a playbook. But I don't mind doing it manually because, one, we do it pretty rarely, pretty infrequently. Two, this is the kind of thing that, like, I would like to be able to have a few admins from our community. We've talked about this a few times with the guys that have done all the courses. And I would love to be able to just have a few admins and have this as a procedure and then tell the admins, hey, get in the system as an admin and do your stuff. Atticus, you said these live streams have become a part of your life. Yeah, well, hopefully this stuff's useful to you. The goal is to show you guys that, like, it doesn't take some brilliant intellect to get into doing this. You just have to be somebody who's going to work on it and get better at it. Most of the best engineers I know aren't, they're not the smartest guy in the room. They're just somebody who will sit around and figure this stuff out and then document it so it's a little easier for the next time. I actually documented this, like me and Treasure, a few months back. We were sitting around and he was giving me the container, and I was like, well, this is how I would deploy it. So I just kind of wrote this up and he and I deployed it. And that's how we got the first little version of the web page up when we built it. Was I just kind of noodled this together, and we can't give you this. Like a prolug.asuscom.com port 8080, you guys would be like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to that fucking web page. What the hell kind of... But if we just give you prolug.org, right? Which, again, like you might say, well, Scott, couldn't you just host that? Yeah, I could just host that up in AWS too, obviously. But I'm being difficult. I want to be a sysadmin about it. I want to run it myself in my home lab. So that's why we run it like we do here, right? So anyways, I wanted to show you guys that a little bit. That was really the whole purpose of my stream. So now I got another 42 minutes I'm going to talk before I get off of here. We can talk about, kind of as we do this, I guess I can leave that whole side open over there for a minute. Let's talk about the other stuff that we had going on with the group here. I'll just pull up all the other things here. So we had, I'm still working on, this is my automation course outline. If you guys have ever seen kind of how I build the courses out, I'm going to be building a lab book and all that kind of stuff here in the next, I only got 2 weeks until we go live in on the 20th. So I'm gonna finish this. I try to stay at least a few weeks ahead of you guys, and then for people that want to get involved, if you're like, hey, that seems kind of interesting to me, I'd like to get involved with the group. Well, we have the writers room. So if you guys have ever heard of the writers room, this is where the guys get together, and I think they do it it's every Sunday. I thought it was every other Sunday. And the guys get together down here. You can even go look in the little writers section. And these are people who just kind of volunteered to build these books out, right? So you can go look at everything that's going on in there. And these are the books that they build, right? Right here. ProLUG Linux Systems Admin course. You can go download the whole book anytime you want. It's free. I'll link it to you guys. They generate these out of GitHub, right? They got this little GitHub markdown tool that they use. Yeah, Nick Hill, you can absolutely do the automation course. Yeah. I would tell you, if you really wanted to, you can do the automation course if you don't know basic Linux. It's just... like anybody that's kind of basic, doesn't even know Linux command line yet and wants to, I would tell them you could still do the automation course. You're just going to be running to catch up. And I don't know. Some people really excel at that. Some people, you put them in, you put them in a 16-week course that's designed for people who have been a lot further in the industry. Some people are going to excel and just push ahead anyways. They're going to figure it out. They're going to kind of learn in the fire, if you will, right? Like, this is still a safer place to learn than being out in the industry, right? Because, like, at least here, you don't have to worry about, getting fired or something like that. But yeah, so anyway, so the guys for the courses, they're going to build another book like this. If you guys haven't seen the books, man, they're awesome. They just, and the guys did a really good job on them. I'm really impressed with them. And my favorite thing about them, honestly, it's this right here. It's that the guys can put their names on it. So then if they go in on an interview and somebody says, "Oh, how do I know you're somebody? You said that you're part of this course, and you said that you helped to build this, and you said that you know these things." There's my effing name. Right, whoever it is. Guys, I've been in the industry long enough that, like, the last 10 jobs I've had, people have reached out to me for. But where I'm going with that is, like, these guys who maybe are trying to get in the industry now have one more nice thing they can put on their resume. And for me, that's really, like, one of my favorite things about this. These guys are putting their names on it. And then if you say, well, I'd like to put my name on a book, well, go get involved. Go start helping and contributing. You'll learn how to get involved because they show you how to contribute and how to go and become part of the Git project. And in fact, I haven't even looked at that Git. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Let's go look at our. Oh, these are mine. Hold on. I think I have. Where's my? I think I can switch to this other one. Yeah, let's just go look at one of these. Because I represent. I'm both myself online and this one. What I was going to show you guys is in the Professional Linux Users Group. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Repositories. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty busy. Here's the course books. They just made this one. It was originally these two different ones. But LAC and PSC, these are the course books. People have been working on them, right? That's a good amount of forks. That's a decent amount of stars for just our little group, right? And then they show you how to do the markdown and other stuff like that. And then the certs over here, right? Here's the certs that had been generated for anybody that needed. Maybe let's see if I can see one of these. I think we should be able to see them. Yeah. So this was one of the guys who successfully completed the course. So if you needed that with my Ratchet internet signature, right? you could prove to somebody. Oh, geez. Oh, computer's breaking. Can you guys hear me still? You could prove to somebody that you completed the course, and there's not a lot of those. If you go look, there's not a whole lot of those, right? And then we got projects and stuff. Anyways, we pay GitHub. I think we pay them like $60 a year or something for this. But yeah, look, you can see all the activity on it and all that stuff. This course book one's brand new. They just put this one together yesterday. I haven't even looked at this one. 2 days ago, maybe. 4 days ago, 5 days ago. Yeah, and then you can go read about it and you can get involved and you can, Man, this Chrome thing, don't even get me started on Chrome, man. Every time I turn around, this thing says relaunch to update. All right, so Omizi, to get the course, to get the little cool certificate, that's a good question, right? You have to do the course with the group. So you could do the course and get all the, look, guys, here's the whole course right here. You could do it all. I have everything active for people that want to drop their public key here in the where's it at? If you wanted to go in ProLUG lab environment and drop your public key, here, look, here's my pinned message. Lab cutover has occurred. Anyone who wants to connect to ProLUG can test the lab connection. Do so. Drop your public key here. So look, guys, public keys can be shared far and wide, right? People have dropped their keys in, and then now they can jump in the server. And I tell you how to do all that in there. But yeah, you could do the course now. You wouldn't get a cert. But if you do the course with us, we're going to start the sysadmin course again in January of 2026. The rub, or the thing that I think like gets people the most to drop out, is you've got to do course discussions each week. And you might say, well, Scott, why do you make me do that each week? This and this and this. Well, you get involved, you talk to the other guys, you see how people think through these processes and stuff. So like, here's Unit 6 security discussion post 2. I'll show you guys like an example of what people were doing. So the question was, the discussion post was read this SRE Google monitoring distributed systems, because Unit 6 was about monitoring, right? I said, what interesting or new things did you learn in this reading? What do you want to know more about? What are the 4 golden signals? They mention these things called 4 golden signals. Now, you might just read about the 4 golden signals and go, I got it. Okay, good, smart, go, whatever. And you never think about them again, and they don't really ever settle in. But then I say, after reading these, why is immutability so important to logging? Like, why can't we change a log once it's written? Why is a log a record of something that happened that never changes? And I said, what do you think the other required items for logging to be effective? Now, you got to remember, this was taught in conjunction with the course where we went over the different RFCs, right? So if I were to pull up that unit, you would see that we were talking through the different RFC for like the IETF and the old Unix BSD standard for logging, right? Then people come down here and this is their write-ups, right? And then you're required to respond, write one response. This was Colchis's response. And then you have to also respond to somebody else's. So by doing that, you pick up, like, even if, and I don't know what these guys did. I think they probably just went and wrote them up. But let's say that they had used some AI or something to generate some of it and then they wrote up the rest or whatever. I'm not really too concerned with that nowadays. But let's say then that they respond to somebody else and they say, hey, yeah, I didn't think about the differentiate latency and distinguishing between what a successful and a failed request are. I never really thought about that. There can be a 200 OK code that comes back to a user on an API, but it took over 1 second. Guys, 1 second in the systems world is a fucking eternity. It is the longest time ever. Yeah, Omizi said this like my college class. Yeah, I am still a college professor for going on 17. It'll be 17 years in December that I've been teaching. So I run my courses a lot like I used to run my college class. And I haven't developed curriculum for my college. So this stuff here is our own curriculum. This is our own stuff, right? We went and laid out our courses the way we wanted to. And these are the things that I think that you are going to run into if you go become a Linux sysadministrator somewhere, right? Yeah, Omizi, like my college students are not allowed to use AI to respond, but you're totally allowed to use it in this course. I just ask that people acknowledge, like, hey, I use this and this is where, because here's the thing, AI as a study buddy is probably one of the coolest things I've seen. Like, you're like, man, I really don't understand this scripting thing Scott keeps talking about. He talks about a shebang line. Could you give me like another explanation of a shebang line? Because I'm a big fan of, like, I hear something one way and maybe it just doesn't resonate with me. It's at a different frequency. And I say that generically. That's not really what's happening. But then, like, somebody else says it a different way and it sticks. I used to say this all the time about my son. Like, I could tell my son something 100 times and he would not hear me. And his wrestling coach would tell it to him once and he would hear it immediately. And if any of you guys have kids, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you could tell your kids 100 times, but that coach says it once and they're like, coach said this. And you're like, motherfucker, that sounds like me. But you never heard me say it because I'm your parent, right? Like, I always call it being too close. Like, with our group every August, I bring in a whole bunch of experts to come talk to you guys. And everybody later is always like, man, it's so nice to have an expert to talk to. And I'm like, I'm an expert. People forget that I'm an expert. I'm just kidding. I mean, people do forget because they see me all the time and they see how dumb I am on here. But the point is, I show you guys, like, you don't have to be super smart to do a lot of this stuff. You just have to stick with it and learn the component pieces. And at the end of the day, then you've got this whole thing put together, right? And I mean, this is one of the reasons I tell you guys, I'm really thankful for all the guys in the group, because I was just going to leave the course as a bunch of loose notes in the Discord. They're the ones that put this all together and turn this into a thing that you could show anybody and be like, hey, here's my 16-week course that I did. These are the things that I know. And if you want to know, if you want to ask me anything about this in an interview, I feel comfortable talking to it. And you say, well, why do you feel comfortable talking to it? Because you literally had discussions with your buddies while you were doing the course. So you learned it, right? Like, it wasn't just something that you glazed over and like looked at, at the end and just crashed through or whatever. You actually did the course. So, that was a lot to say. Like, you can do the course anytime, but if you want to get the cool little cert, you got to start with us. And our next start for the Linux admin course it's not planned yet, but it's probably going to be like January of 2026. So the courses that are starting, you come up here, You look at the courses that are starting up. We have the security engineering course on September 20th. Again, these are free. You just go look at them down in the Discord. And then the 16-week automation course, that's on September 20th. That's in the Discord. These are free. All you got to do is show up and hang out. Vera Patrick with the Prime, thank you for that. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. You can use your Prime anywhere. Chose to use it here. That always feels good. So I appreciate that. That's also the first time I've ever had a Prime before I had a follow, so that's awesome too. But guys, yeah, there's the Discord. The thing I tell people about our ProLUG, and I've been running ProLUG for 11 years and 6 years on Discord now. We just had our little anniversary in August, early August. I tell people this was never meant to be the Scott show. This was never meant to be me in charge of everything. Like, this Bash study group was not started by me. That's awesome. The late night Bash study group was started by me, but I can't always make it to this. Then the writer's room, this was not started by me. This was other guys in the community that were like, hey, we're going to do this. And that's always been the goal of this, was to get you guys doing this. Most of these guys are either getting into the industry or just gotten into the industry, and they're getting a lot of really good experience with doing these tools and working on teams because they built this up. The lab maintenance, that is something that I run, but that's just for me to show you guys kind of like how I maintain the lab, which some of you guys know that I don't maintain the lab very good. I have never used Lisp. I have a Lisp a little bit. I had to go to speech therapy when I was a kid. Some of you guys might notice that my S's and my R's are a little jacked up. But no, I've never used the programming language Lisp. My programming languages are heavily limited to Perl. Perl's what I cut my teeth on, and then Bash, obviously, as a scripting language, and then Python. Those would be the only languages that are on my resume in any way, because I'm proficient in those enough to do them professionally if people need. I've done enough JavaScript to like be dangerous, but I wouldn't want the job that would require JavaScript. The only reason I've ever done JavaScript, I don't know if any of you guys have heard this, the only reason I've ever done JavaScript professionally was there was this tool, and most of you have never heard of this tool, I guarantee you. Even if you've been in the industry a long time, you're like, oh, I know, I'm going to know this tool Scott talked about. This tool comes from VMware, and I guarantee you most of you have never heard about it. It's called VRO, the vRealize Orchestrator. And the vRealize Orchestrator, like, only people that are like deep, far in the weeds of like the VMware ecosystem ever touch it. And it is this back-end orchestrator that can literally control everything inside of your thing. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, but everything, every interaction with it is JavaScript. And so I've done a fair amount of, I have a fair amount of production JavaScript stuff written, but only to interact with my Ansible playbooks. And only because my company was so deep in the weeds with VRO that I had to learn it to be effective in that space. So like some of you guys know, I was the platform engineering lead for a company, a big insurance company out here. And I did all the Linux and all the Windows, and I managed all the deployments, and I built out all those processes. When I say managed, I was not a manager. I was the tech lead, right? I was the guy who made sure all the tech work got done. I left that actually in M-Pesa, who I'm going to go visit here in a little bit. One of our guys in Discord, he took over that team when I left. Even though he had only been in Linux for like a year and a half, he still took over the team, and he's done really well for himself since then. But I'm going down to his, he's got a baby shower coming up. Oh man, we got a golden Kappa train?
Just paid my rent.
Wear my teeth. Yeah, that's your rent. You don't have to watch ads anymore. I've never had a golden Kappa train before, so that's kind of cool. If you guys know what that is, that's, you get those little golden Kappas for 24 hours. I've seen that on other people's streams, but I've never had one of those myself, so that's kind of funny. Golden Kappas are, they're that little guy that does Kappa, but then it's, they're golden, so it's kind of funny. Yeah, what else was I showing you? I was just showing you guys stuff. I did set this one up. So for people, this is because when we do our admin or security groups, we always have a big project, and not everybody got to present their projects last time. So a couple people asked me to share theirs again. So this is an opportunity for everybody to get together and for the guys to present the work that they've done. Because if you do these courses, there's big projects that go along with them, and you guys are welcome to, do that. In fact, you should be able to go right here and see the project. Here's the final project for the Linux admin course. You would do all this Linux admin-y stuff, and then you would select a topic to research about something. And these are all Linux things: system stability, system performance, security, monitoring, Kubernetes. If you're over in the programming space and you want to do programming or automation instead of just basic Linux stuff, okay, that's fine. You plan it out, you document it, you do a diagram, right? You draw the thing, and then you build out the thing with screenshots and make a video and prove that you did it. Then you redline the documentation, which means you do the documentation all over again. And then you prepare to present. Now, nobody has to present, but Overleaf is this awesome little tool for presentation if you need. How's it going, Adaverk? Hopefully. Colchis with the bits.
Historic ProLUG Golden Train.
This is the first little golden Kappa train I've ever had, so that's kind of fun. I appreciate the bits, Colchis. Keeps me motivated. But any of you guys that want to present to the group, this was kind of what I was saying. Like, people didn't get to present because I kind of ended the Linux admin course last time, and some people wanted to present, so we set up a time for people to come and walk through things, that kind of stuff. So yeah. And it looks like we got a little bit of people talking on YouTube, which is good too. Yeah, you guys should go down in the Discord. Here's the Discord on the Twitch side. And on the YouTube side, it's just down in the description if anybody gets in there. But you guys are welcome to hang out there and do all that stuff. Anyways, let's go look at what more stuff is going on. Let's, ProLUG security course. Let's look at, this is our, did I zoom in on this? Hold on. I feel like I zoomed in on this page. Yeah, there's 100%. So here's all of our servers, right? And these are our lab boxes, and we just want to check on them. We want to see at a quick heads up that maybe even 90 is better. 90 might look a little better. But the point is I can see all the servers are up. I can, at a quick glance, see all 15 of them are there. I can just see information about them. That's a cool little monitor. That's a good, what we call a heads up display. So it's cool. Let's go to our logs. Looks like our logs are there, and we have, in the last 6 hours, probably a few hundred people. Yeah, it's probably approaching 300 or so total login attempts. And we see that people are trying to get in on a bunch of different bullshit users, and they're trying a bunch of like Kafka and Elasticsearch ES and root. We don't allow root in at all, so that's fun. Hadoop. People are trying default passwords and login connections. Then our servers that are up, and we see that they have been getting scanned for their antivirus, so that's kind of stuff that we expect. This is our ProLUG. Let's refresh this page so we see the new version of the page. Good. Looks like we have the... Did we get any updates here? Nope. Third Linux automation is introduced, yeah. And here's the Linux automation course, so you can go see more info on it. And there's the admin. Those were the two groups that have already happened. Yeah. Okay, good. So there's a lot of info here. Wait, did this one get fixed? I might need I don't know if Treasure's around. I'll have to go message him. But it looks like we just need this. This needs to be the automation. It looks like some of the automation stuff got cut out, because I think it should be ProLUG Certified Systems Administrator, Security Engineer, and then this one should be automation. So we'll get that one working. So, all right, that's good. And then we've got the book. There's a book that you can find on LeanPub if you guys want it. That is not required for any of the courses. We also have gear. Some people like our gear. Some people buy, like, I actually had this shirt on yesterday, Linux is the way. I took it off for our little party last night. Oh, by the way, I don't know if anybody here saw me typing stuff, but if you look up, let's see, one fight, Amazon 35, I think it was 35 last night. Let's see if they have all the highlights. So my friend Natalie and a guy that I've trained with, Ty, so two people that I know, were fighting on this last night. One person I know very well, my friend Natalie.
If you certify,
hold on, we're
gonna
let this go real quick. Hold on. You guys can see that, right? Yeah, you guys should be able to see that. Hold on. So let's just see if they have. This is supposed to be highlights. Natalie broke a girl's arm. Nope. Huh. This says all fights, but she was the second fight. Let's see. So Leon Rutolo, this Rutolo is a kid who I got to train with earlier this year. He's an ADCC vet. So if you guys know what ADCCs are, no, the whole fights were on. They were just Natalie was the second fight, so she was very early, and her fight's probably going to be hard to see because she tapped the girl in 2 minutes. She broke her arm. Natalie is a very, very good. Anyways, you guys can find it if you want. I posted it down here for people that wanted to see it down in like the sports and outdoors. That's not Natalie. That's Natalie there. It's my friend Ben's wife, and they run the camps. Like, so you guys have heard me talk about going down to Mexico and like, and then when I go to Mexico, I train with Ben and Natalie, and then Ty Rutolo, he trains with them out in California sometimes, and I got to train with him earlier this year. So it's actually really cool when you get to go train with somebody that does like ADCC, and I think he's only like 20. Kid's young. But he's one of the best in the world at what he does. He taught a really cool version of a Darce that I like. So real quick, just as a level set, I think he's 20, and I've trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 23 years, and he's still way better than me at it. But he's like 20, been training for like 17 years, because he started training when he was a little kid. Yeah, Atavirk, I was also a combat infantryman, if anybody cares. not that that's relevant. Atavirk said, a sysadmin who knows martial arts, the XKCD sysadmin meme is coming true. Yeah, like he's just killing people and getting the uptime back up. Yeah. But no, where's my teeth? Those were the real fights, but it actually was kind of weird because like they didn't offer Natalie a $50,000 bonus for her sub, but they did give Ty Rutolo a $50,000 bonus for his sub, which is cool. I mean, if it's in their contracts, it's cool or whatever. But it's like Natalie absolutely dominated that girl and broke her fucking arm. She had a triangle with both arms in, which you might say triangle requires one arm to be out. Scott, I thought you were a black belt. I thought you knew that. I do know that. She triangled that girl with both of her fucking arms in and twisted. It was a bent arm bar, or what we call an Americana, but it was still like I've not seen people hit that in tournaments or anything except for like Natalie, the way that she does it, and it's super impressive. And you might say, how did she triangle her? Isn't that just like a high guard? She had a triangle on that girl with both arms in, and I'm like, because normally you can just straighten both arms out then or shoulder lock them, and she just broke the girl's arm, so it's kind of funny. I mean, not funny for the girl, I'm sure, but flew all the way to Argentina just to get tapped out in 2 minutes. That's not great. But Natalie's 4-0 in pro fights now, so that's kind of cool. That's exciting for her. All right, guys, I have not been on here for an hour. I was going to try to do a whole hour. Let's walk through. Let's go check the lab out a little bit. Make sure that the lab is working like we expect. Let's go look at all of our nodes, and let's do Ansible servers -m shell -a. Let's do uptime. Just hit all the nodes real quick, make sure they're all up. If nobody was in them, we could reboot them all. But I'm not rebooting the lab environments outside of our normal thing. Oh, you know, so I can tell right here that I'm the only one in them because I'm the only one in Auto 5. So yeah, let's hit them all with a reboot real quick. We'll boot all the nodes over. We don't normally do that outside of the maintenance window, but nobody's using it. Oh, we got the target nodes up the other day, so we do need to configure the target nodes. These are the target nodes that are going to be behind the auto servers in the automation course. So we did build these the other day. We deployed these with Ansible for people that saw that. If you guys want to see what that Ansible looked like, I'm going to let one of these boot real quick, though. So like Rocky 5, we're going to watch him boot. But I'll go show you guys what we did with Ansible. Where was it? I think it was here. Where was that? Right here. So here's our target environment. So this is the node definition of the new nodes we wanted to build, right? Atavirk, yeah, I can show that. Hold on. This is our ProLUG website deployment right here. This is how we deploy. And Cox Internet is my internet, and they block port 80. So when you guys go to our ProLUG website here, you're actually hitting port 80, but you're hitting AWS CloudFront. CloudFront sits in front of my page, which is shared out here on port 8080. This is a dynamic DNS that's always available, but I wasn't going to share that to people because who the hell wants to type that in? prolug.asuscom.com at port 88. Like most of you would be like, oh my God, Scott, that's the least professional thing ever. So so this is there. This is open to the world, but this is also obfuscated by the CloudFront so that normal people can come in on port 80 with just the normal ProLUG. Does that make sense? That's the goal. Then behind that, port 8080 is mapped through the DMZ of my system. Well, it's not even through the DMZ, it's just through port forwarding to my external service on my Kubernetes cluster. This is all Kubernetes cluster here. Port 31000 is exposed, right? And then 31000 goes to deployment blue or deployment green, right? Whichever version I have. So when I deploy a new version, it comes over here and it kills the old one off. And then the underlying Kubernetes cluster is here. And we did work on prod K8s1 that looked like this, where we took away the old version of the deployment. We moved the old repo off to a saved version. We didn't use the version 1 and version 2. That was like me messing around. Han Sohai said, well, I understand what all this means by going through the course. It depends which course you go through, but I think you'll understand more of it. This is one of those things I tell people all the time, like engineers have their own way of talking, and the way that you kind of get involved and understand how they talk is by sitting with the engineers. And I think that's maybe one of the most valuable things about the Professional Linux Users Group is we give you a place to go and hang with the engineers and see how people that are doing this talk and how they walk through stuff. Oftentimes, and I tell you guys this, I'm not doing it to try to sound smart. I'm doing it to try to let you guys know, like, this may be the only 1 hour you get a week of maybe the time you come and hang out with us is the only time you get to hear how people technically talk about this stuff. Maybe all the rest of the time you're just hanging out and, like, guys, I like watching Dead by Daylight on Twitch. I like watching stupid stuff and burning my brain cells watching stuff. I'm not saying you can't do that. What I'm saying is when it's time to get serious, I want a place where people can go and, like, do serious work if they want to, right? So, Han Sohai, I can't promise you that you'll know what all of it means, but I'll promise you that you will get exposed to this stuff in a way that you probably won't many other places. There's not many people out there trying to show you this. There's plenty of people out there trying to laugh at you for being too dumb to know it. How come you didn't know this from the time you were born? You're so fucking stupid. That's like what the average, like, Linux engineer and systems engineer I've known over the years acts like. And I've always hated that. I've always hated that, just that mentality that, like, you know, I don't know. It seems like a weird elitism. It's like that guy that they always make fun of on The Simpsons at the comic shop that thinks everybody else is stupid because they don't know comics as good as him. And, like, in that case, it's super absurd. But in our case, it's somebody who's also kind of gatekeeping people from being in the industry like they could be. And anyway, so that's my thing, is I can't promise you you'll understand it, but I promise you you'll be exposed to it more. X Shunny, how's it going? Yeah, we're just going over, we're watching the systems boot. Systems booting, little warning errors, but things are coming up. And then I was showing how we deployed those nodes. X Shunny said engineers attack social divergent people. I've heard that before. I definitely agree with that. I often say, yeah, this is, I actually was looking for this in the Discord, Atavirk. I thought I had saved this in the Discord, but I can drop this in, like, the meeting notes. This is, because this is not, like, this is not sensitive. People might think, like, oh, you're showing the external. I show this to everybody. Like, the external DDNS of our system is available for anybody that wants it. Here, watch, I'll grab this. Boom. Right. Copy that. That out of the way, go over to our Discord, This was Natalie's fight last night. Natalie won. It was awesome. She broke the girl's arm. I've said that a few times. Meeting notes. Boom. So that's the diagram. Diagram of how we deploy the web page. Right? All right. And then, okay, so anyways, here was our nodes definition. And what I really need anybody to notice is we've got the word nodes here. And under this YAML definition are multiple individual nodes. So nodes, and then each node has a name, a host, and a MAC, right? So if we go back real quick, I love DBD. I don't know why I love that game so much. I've never even played it. What? DBD, Dead by Daylight. I don't know why I love that game so much. I don't know if it's just because it's like a horror show, but I don't have to be watching and paying attention to a horror movie. I don't know what it is about it, but I do like that game a lot. I never played a single second of it, but I've probably watched a few thousand hours of it. Here's what the deployer does, and what I want you guys to note is I debug all the variables at the beginning just to see, just for fun, and then down here is actually our deployment. So Zen server guest is the call, item node host. So the host is right here, and that host is the one that's going to be hosting it, which happened to be 202, which was this server right here, XCP-NG big new, right? So that server is the one that's going to get called every time. And then there's a username and a password. They get passed in through a vault file that I have, so you can't see that, right? And then down here, the node name of each of, so look, it's item.node.name. So item, which is nodes, .node.name is target 1. So the first thing this was going to do was create a server called the item.node.name, which was test server 1-1 or whatever, target 1-1, right? And then down here, because we have to, we can give a MAC address if we want to. We can say go to lab internal, and then we could give it a MAC. But then what we did was we wanted to deconflict the same MAC addresses. So item.node.mac is the MAC address at the end. That's the last two hexadecimal characters of your MAC address. So BB, BB, DD, AA, FF, and then for the first one, he should be .11. So I should be able to come over here when these deployed automatically. I should be able to go over here and look at his networking and see that he's BB, BB, DD, AA, FF, 11. And that 11 was what was defined right here. See how we deconflicted only the last part? The last two hexadecimal numbers right there. And then we deployed it, and then we looped over all the nodes, and this generated all of our guests for us here. And we did this the other day on stream, so. All right, so we did all that. Yeah, Vieira, I thought DBD was very fun. I thought it was a very fun game. DBD, Dead by Daylight. The CC just doesn't want to do DVD. They DBD, Dead by Daylight. There you go. There you go. My closed captioning, guys. Adverk said, do I have an ASUS router? Yes. Yes, it's an ASUS router, yep. It's one of their, like, $600 ones. It's pretty all right. I just updated it the other day, too. Give it a new firmware and stuff like that. You got to keep that stuff updated. And that's not even the external device in my lab. There's an external device outside of that, too, that's maintained. I let Cox maintain that. Even though it's my own personal one, they can update that firmware themselves, too, so. That's kind of like another layer of that. So, all right. So we went over that. Let's go check the nodes. All came back up. We can just go back up to uptime. So now we're going to see them all rebooted. Yep, there they are. 6 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago. So all the nodes are back up. You guys that know how to connect into the servers can connect into the servers. If you don't know how to connect into the servers, you go down here to ProLUG lab environment, and it tells you in the pinned message how to connect. It's ProLUG at ProLUG.asuscom.com. But when you go to actually get that's funny. You can go up here and you can drop in a key, and I will add the key into the server and the bastion. This is how the connection actually works. If you guys have never seen it, this is our drawing, and somebody put some little stuff at the top. But you come in through either, you used to do admins or security separate, but now it's all just ProLUG at ProLUGAsusCom.com. You come in through the Jumpo 1 server, and you're in a DMZ, and you're dropped into a Bastion. And the Bastion process, for people that want to see that, is right here. This is what the Bastion process, like, you come in, you hit an SSH, you go to a jail. Inside that jail, you're jailed down in var prolug_ch root. You have bash, curl, and SSH. I lock your shell to a bastion.sh, and then that gives you either admin or security labs, or now the auto labs are there. And when you drop into that, you get dropped into the next available Rocky server automatically and Hammer server automatically. And then the thing was, people were like, well, hey, Scott, when we did the courses before, I was able to be persistently in one. Well, now you can't be persistently in a node anymore. But if you're in like Rocky 2 now and you do a df-h, you would see that there's home labs, lab work, and opt. So you can go drop stuff in your lab, right? And then now in here, like Zorg Lab or whatever, he was one of the guys that was working on stuff. So then he's got his stuff. Plus, we backed those up. So even though we're all root, so anybody can delete this, but we're on somewhat of an honor system, but we also still have the ability to restore people's stuff if we need to. So I know I'm jumping through a lot of stuff quick, but it's because, well, I'm only going to be on for a few more minutes. And two, this stuff is all up in the Discord, so you can go read it at your leisure, right? But the point is for a lot of this stuff, you just have to start getting involved. Here's a little welcome. The bot introduces itself to you guys. And then here's our little YouTube, so you guys get alerted when I go live. Also, by the way, if you guys don't follow Sending Grounds, let me give a shout out to Sending Grounds real quick. I think that should work. Yeah. If you guys don't follow Sending Grounds, you should. He just got his affiliate the other day, and he tends to stream pretty late night, like kind of later on in the evening. But his stuff is really good. He works for a big cloud provider, one of the big 5 tech companies on planet Earth, part of what they call FANG or MANG nowadays. He works for one of them, and he will tell you all about being a systems admin. He was doing Capture the Flag last night. It was kind of fun, touching tools that we don't always touch, and looking at ways that like application, like looking at ways to like obfuscate and then allow somebody to like move up. He was doing one I think called Leviathan last night, and that was kind of a fun little thing to watch for a little bit. I was kind of in and out because obviously the fights were on and stuff. So, what else? Yeah, so we just kind of hang out around here and talk Linux and try to get you guys into it. I need a little bell, like if you guys have ever been in an Arby's and when you walk out, it says like, if your food was good, ring the bell, and people will ring the bell or whatever. We need something like that for the group where it's like, hey, if you've gotten a job, like ring the bell or whatever, because we have a fair amount of people over the years, maybe in the hundreds now, that have gotten work in the space that, it's not directly related to us. It's people, it's you doing your own work and learning this stuff, but we try to be there and at least help, right? Like we try to be like a positive factor for you guys on maybe guiding people towards the things to look at and the things to work on. So yeah. So that's that's what we do around here. What else do I have? We deployed the website. That was important. I told you guys that there's a bunch of upcoming events even today. Community looks nice. Cheers from Brazil. Nice. Yeah, Vieira, you might have missed it earlier, but I was talking about how I've done a sport named after your country for the last 23 years or so. Let's see. I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2003. So I've been doing it for a long time. So yeah, Brazil's a great country. I haven't been down there yet. I need to get down there one of these days. I think Brazil's on my bucket list. South America in general is on my bucket list. So that'd be kind of fun. Fun to get down there. All right. Yeah, Treasure built this cool little logo for us too, which I like. I do think I think I need to talk to him. I think this is a little busted. I'll message him here. But yeah, I definitely think you guys should follow along with that. So we'll probably call it here then. Yeah, you said you recognize the sport way more than us. Yeah, fair enough. I think it even yeah, it's exploded more in the last 20 years, but yeah, it's still not like a big worldwide sport yet. I think it's still kind of small, riding on the coattails of stuff that people do know well, like UFC and those kind of things. But well, even though it was the guys who did it started the UFC, but they didn't make it as big as it is now. You know, that was all Dana White and the Fertitta brothers, I think their names were. I don't know none of that stuff. I just kind of follow along with it over the years. So, all right, here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna drop off here. We'll go raid somebody over on the Twitch side. On the YouTube side, I appreciate